Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Overcast Gamer podcast. You're joined by me. My name's Abe Foster. I'm also joined by
me. My name's Regan Harper. Welcome to the show, everyone. Good to have you here.
Yeah, and me, Balthazar Valentine. And yeah, it's great to finally get some of this stuff now down.
Get it
done. Get it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Got some cool stuff to be talking about today.
We do
Tell us all about it.
We have a great schedule lined up. We're going to be going over some games that we've been playing, and there's also a anecdote in there, which I think everyone will enjoy. I haven't heard it yet, and Regan hasn't heard it yet, so I think it's going to be pretty interesting. Yeah. We've then got some news. We're going to be talking about VR and the Oculus Rift's outrageous price point. So that should be a good bit of a yarn. And then just some miscellaneous shit. So I think we'll best just get into it, really.
Absolutely.
So who wants to kick things off?
Recent games?
Yep.
Recent games. I am a year behind the 8 ball on this one, but I've been playing The Witcher again. Obviously, at the end of last year, everyone started getting into their Game of Year discussions and all that kind of thing.
Yep.
And I am poor. And so as a result of that, I decided to pick up The Witcher 3 again. Totally addicted to it all over again. The first time I played through it, I'm not sure how you guys played it the first time, but it was all about... I just thrashed through the main storyline.
Right.
Got it done, was keen to see what happened at the end of it.
Yep.
Got through the story, which was great, but then sort of didn't really get an impression for how massive the game was. And then throughout the discussions for Game of the Year, everyone was talking about how it was like impossible to finish the game. There's just so much content, so I figured I'd go back and give that another shot. And just, yeah, that's me. I'm just totally into it again. It's almost like it's been re-released, and I'm just going for it.
Awesome. So are you sort of jumping around and doing some of the side missions and things?
Yeah. So
digging a bit deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. The approach is sort of more before I'm ever going into any of the main storyline quests. So let's say, for example, you get into sort of the Crow's Perch where the Bloody Baron hangs out.
Yep.
I'm assuming we can just talk freely about The Witcher now.
It's been a year.
Yeah, it's been a year. If you're worried about giving the points of these games away, fuck off. All right, just relax. So you get into where the Bloody Baron is, and so rather than just diving in and thrashing through that and figuring out that part of the story, doing all of the sort of side quests on the notice boards and all that kind of stuff as I go. And obviously some of them are harder as, so you're not going to be able to do them at level 10 or whatever you are at the time.
Right.
But just, spending a lot more time doing all the side quests and things that... the beauty of that game, and what still gets me, is the way that... Sure, there's a list of quests, but it's the way that you do the quests, and then it doesn't feel like you've just gone from A to B. There's always something else that you pick up along the way.
Yep.
And it feels like much more of just this sort of like dynamic world that you're within. I think that's one of the sort of the key points that The Witcher just nailed.
Right. You're not going through the motions. You're actually investing in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And there is nuance to the activity that you know. That
Exactly. You're not running off to find a piece of lore that you don't really care about and bringing it back to someone. You're tracking someone down so that they can find out about this particular piece of the puzzle that happened, and then it informs these kind of things. It's just a lot more thought out and fleshed out than you might find in a lot of other games, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. So you've sunk 20 hours into it again now?
Yeah, probably about that again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is great. Just sort of got into Novigrad, going through that sort of part of the story again. So it's nothing too exciting. It's the same sort of stuff that people were talking about this time last year.
Yeah.
but it's good. My thing for this year anyway is going to be, because I'm going travelling halfway through the year, I've sort of set myself a precedent of only really buying new games if I can get them for kind of less than $40.
Ooh.
Which is real.
That's a steep
in New Zealand. If you're not in New Zealand, you will know that is a big deal. So I'm probably going to be playing a lot of old games, which is fine. There's a lot of old games that are awesome that I haven't played. So it's going to be good.
I'll just briefly touch on my relationship with The Witcher 3. Over probably the last 2 or 3 years, I've come to the realisation that I get overwhelmed incredibly easily. Hence when I coined the phrase open world fatigue.
Yep.
So in The Witcher 3, it was my game of the year for last year, without a doubt. I just think there's so much detail and so much love poured into that game. How could you not acknowledge that? But I did get up to Novigrad, but I'm the sort of person who I'm quite obsessive compulsive, so there's question marks on my map. I want to try and eliminate all the question marks, and it got to the point where I realised that was nigh on impossible. So I was like, I'm never going to get anywhere in this game if I just don't go straight for the main thing. So I was still in Valen in the sort of the first area out of White Orchard, and I just thought I'm never going to get anywhere. So I finished the Bloody Baron quest line and I made a beeline straight for Novigrad, and that's when I got there. And then I think Until Dawn or something else came around, and that's when I stopped playing it. But yeah, I absolutely love The Witcher 3, and I'm definitely going to delve back into it. Maybe even will be my next game that I'll jump into, I reckon, because I haven't played anything since the New Year, since the Christmas break kind of thing. Apart from little bits of Star Wars Battlefront, which we can talk about as well. But yeah, I absolutely adore The Witcher 3, and I'm not a huge RPG person, so I think that's a testament to that game as well.
Absolutely goes a long way for standing up for what's good in it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Next on the agenda, so someone wanted to talk about Pokemon Go.
Yeah, that was me, actually. Pokemon Go. You guys heard much about it?
I've heard of its existence.
I'm on the similar page.
Oh man, it looks great. Okay, so if you've not looked into it, it's going to be a mobile game, which is interesting in itself. Sort of Nintendo and the Pokemon company going down that route, which is pretty cool. All sorts of cool things about it that excite me from the developer. So Niantic are making it, who they have made a game in the past called Ingress, which is this like horrendously addictive. Sort of almost like a geotagging kind of game where you run around in the real world and it uses your phone's GPS, and you can go to certain places and capture points on the map and that kind of thing, and you work as teams to capture X field on the map and all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool. It's it's using the cell phone's kind of inbuilt GPS as the kind of core mechanic of the game.
So their speciality is augmented reality gaming, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. They actually started as a sort of a offshoot from Google. So I'm assuming they've used sort of Google's maps and all that kind of work that's done there as a platform.
Right.
But that's really cool. That game was really good, so I think they'll be awesome as a choice for the developers for Pokemon Go. Essentially, to sum it up, it's going to be Pokemon in the real world. You walk around, you go for a walk to specific spots, and you capture Pokemon using your phone. And so it will be an augmented reality thing, from what I can tell.
Yep.
So if you're in that area where that Pokemon is, you can hold up your phone, and it'll use its camera, and it'll show you where that Pokemon is, and you've got to capture it. And there's all the kind of things that you would expect from a game of Pokemon. You can battle your friends. You can, you can train them up. You can go to a gym. I'm assuming there's going to be like Pokemon League kind of stuff, which sounds fucking awesome. It sounds it's going to be the original 150 Pokemon. So if you're sort of like me, a bit older, and you just remember kind of growing up with Pokemon and that kind of thing, you're going to know all the Pokemon. It's none of these crazy new ones that are just
set of car keys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. 2 Scoop evolve into 3 Scoop.
Yeah. Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. So so that's really cool, and it just the idea of, I think it's a really cool sort of space for games, and something that hasn't really been looked into much before now. And it's like, phones are just one of these enabling technologies to make so many things possible.
Yeah.
It just seems like a really cool step for Pokemon to be making, away from having to have a piece of Nintendo hardware, which not everyone is willing to go out and buy just to play Pokemon.
Yeah.
Suddenly you can play it on your cell phone. I'm pretty sure it's going to be free. I guess you're going to have to buy Pokeballs and that kind of stuff.
Right.
It just sounds great. And getting out in the real world and doing, things with my legs. Walking about and stuff.
So this is going to be essentially the stand-in for the open world Pokemon RPG that's never going to happen, right? From Game Freak and from Nintendo, that they're never going to make, because they're insane and they hate people and money.
They don't want anyone to pay for their product. No, not at all.
No.
I think with Pokemon Go, I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I want it and don't want it to be handled a certain way. It's the same way for both. I hope that they really tap into the geographical nature of what, the proposed game will be, in that you can't just catch all 150 Pokemon in every country, no matter where you live. You do have to go, if you're on holiday, you've got to remember to get your phone out and see what Pokemon are available in that country. Yes. But then at the same time, I'm worried if they do that about the fact that New Zealand's a tiny little middle of nowhere country, and they're like, we'll just give them Mankey.
Yeah, so
Mankey and Bellsprout.
And that, yeah.
Maybe a few Pidgey and Rattata.
And okay, maybe we'll be, for a while when the game first comes out, we'll be fucking Pokemon Go sensations, and everyone will be like, God, I need a Mankey, and there's only this one remote country that has it, and so we can sell our
great
Mankeys.
For tourism, right?
Yeah, and we can trade Mankeys for useful Pokemon.
We're going to travel to Waiheke Island and get Venusaur, and there's only certain
and it's like I really hope they do tap into that and make it so that that even with events, I mean, if you think about legendary Pokemon, how rare they're supposed to be, there should not be anywhere in the world that has legendary Pokemon. It should be more like there's an event on, so they host an event. They're like, on this weekend, Tokyo's got Mewtwo in it.
Yeah, I think I've read an article between I can't remember what the game website was and the guys at Niantic who are developing it, and they addressed those points. They were because that was my concern as well. Was like, is it just going to be randomly generated? But because they've got a bunch of sort of geo kind of information from Google, that kind of thing, it's definitely going to be a case of you have to go to a rocky area to find rock Pokemon. You have to go to the beach to find water Pokemon. And there was a quote along the lines of, you can't get all 150 in your local area. If you wanted to catch, I think the quote was something like, if you want to catch all 150, you're either going to have to go nuts on trading with people, or you're going to have to take a year off work and travel the globe.
That excites me a lot.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
Right?
That's exactly what I want.
So it sounds like you don't want to be able to become a Pokemon master in a couple of days from just wandering around your backyard. So that sounds pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, man, I really hope that this game's out by the time I go traveling to Europe so that I can catch some French-speaking Pokemon and bring it home. So it's going to be awesome. I think it has the potential to be amazing, especially when you think about the audience that it could open up to as well, because you think about countries and areas of the world where Nintendo don't really ship their stuff. So, places like India, I don't think there's a massive kind of uptake of Nintendo gear in places like that. But everyone has a phone. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's really cool. That actually got me a lot more excited. I mean, I saw that trailer that you sent through, and that looked incredible. But it's one of those things of they pour all their money into the promotional materials, and then some pixel art bullshit, and it's nothing like it was originally promised. But if it has that travelling thing, and just Nintendo, partnership with the airlines maybe, and
oh my god,
that's
I'm just doing the marketing for them now. That sounds amazing.
You can release it. You pay. I don't know what the package fee would be. You pay a package fee, and it just it's flights to major areas where you can catch rare or limited.
There's actual those Pokemon planes that you see on the internet every now and then. Those become an actual airline, and you can get on, and you're with a whole bunch of other people, and I better stop talking about this because it's going to go on for hours.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I have been playing a wee bit of Star Wars Battlefront. Probably about not a huge amount. Probably about. Because I've been watching my flatmates play it on Xbox. They've both got Xbox One, so I've just been watching them and playing a little bit as well. So probably about 4 hours watching and playing, combined kind of thing. It's good. It's good. It's fun, but it's not a great game by any standard. It's a good game. It's not a great game. I see it as the gaming equivalent of airline food, right? It's a single serving game. It has one purpose.
Oh, absolutely.
It fulfills that purpose, and you chuck it away, and then you pick it up again every now and then.
Yeah,
and you chuck it away again. That's what I see it as, and it seems to do that quite well. But I wouldn't give it anything higher than like a 6.57 out of 10. It's not. It's very bare bones.
Yeah. After your sort of commentary on it last time we had a chat, what are your feelings about it now? You probably haven't even touched it.
I played some yesterday. Played some a couple of days before that as well. I still love it as a game for serving the purpose I wanted it to serve, which was simply I want to be in Star Wars and have it look like I'm in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it still feels there. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters how much time has passed. This, whatever they've used to create the imagery and have the game look how it does, you're always going to feel like you're in Star Wars when you play that game. And I think, like Abe said, that's really it. Like, it being a single serving game, for me, that was the purpose I wanted it to feel. That's the purpose it feels. So anytime I want that feeling, I will pick up that game and play a couple of rounds, and then I'll play something with substance.
Yeah.
So I still enjoy it when I play it, because I play it when I'm in that state of mind, and when that's what I want. I just want Star Wars and to be there.
Yeah.
I'll put in Battlefront and I'll play a few rounds, and then I'll move on.
Yeah.
But I still think it's definitely the best game out there to fill that desire.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Even
the best
if
Star
that
Wars
is
game
all
for
it feels.
a long time. I mean, can you guys think of a better Star Wars game than that? Rogue Squadron was pretty good.
Rogue Squadron was great.
Actually, as much as the original was terrible, and it wasn't really terrible, it was just that it failed both the storytelling element and the online element originally until they patched the crap out of it. But the Old Republic from BioWare, I mean, that just had an expansion drop last year, so you could technically count that as a new Star Wars game.
Right.
And that expansion is not only back to quality Star Wars storytelling in a game, it's back to, I don't know the last time BioWare made a game like that. Like, they seem to pretty much drop the online elements of it and just be like, hey, we know we failed hard as an MMO, so we're just going to focus on the story and go back. And pretty much they made it Knights of the Old Republic 3.
Right.
So I'd say that, with that coming out, we are actually starting to potentially see an incline in quality Star Wars games again. I mean, obviously Battlefront doesn't really back up the quality Star Wars games, since it only serves one purpose, but because it serves that one purpose so well, it definitely seems like developers are starting to understand, the different aspects, what people want, and hopefully one day someone will just make one that fills the Battlefront and the KOTOR aspects in one, of looking and feeling like you're there and delivering a quality, substantial, experience as well, that you walk away with fond memories of.
We also have I just remembered the Star Wars game coming out from the developers of Dead Space.
Is that the Resurrected 1313?
Yes, the one with Amy Hennig from Naughty Dog, who's now writing it. After she left Naughty Dog, she went on to work with Visceral. That's who's making it, Visceral, with the developers. And that one, that looks... Star Wars 13 looked amazing. Yeah. So if it's anything like that it essentially looked like Uncharted.
I've also heard talk of an old game being resurrected, one that was never finished. I'm afraid I can't remember what it was called, but there was going to be a game, I think just on the classic Wii when it came out, they were going to make a trilogy for it where you played as Darth Maul.
I saw
it was his backstory and stuff.
Yep.
Apparently that's been, there's talk, it's been resurrected as a launch title for the NX.
Oh, okay.
So... that interested me when they were talking about it originally. I was quite excited for it back on the Wii, despite never owning a Wii, because it sounded cool and I wanted a cool Star Wars game to come out, whether or not I could play it.
Yep.
But if they resurrect that for the NX, that would be really cool.
That's going to have a solid lineup if they have that and they have Zelda Wii U or whatever.
Yeah.
Zelda NX.
Whatever it comes
badass
out for. Whenever they get
Zelda
it
game. Oh man, I'm buying that console just for that. Having said only earlier that I wouldn't buy Nintendo for a Pokemon game, something big and open world for Zelda.
I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed as a Wii U title this year. You can... Oh no, you can't pre-order that. They're remaking Twilight Princess that you can pre-order now.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they have confirmed that the Zelda project is a Wii U title that will launch late this year, I think.
Okay.
Not an NX title.
Well played.
It is odd when companies do that. It's like you've got a choice to make. You can either release it as an end of line for your existing console to try and ship units for that, or you can release it as a launch title for a new console to try and ship units from the word go. So whichever they choose, I mean, as I said, at the moment it seems like they've confirmed it's going to be Wii U, but if they do change that to NX, whichever they choose, it's going to be interesting to see what impact that has on the system in question.
Right. Just out of interest, what are your guys' favourite Nintendo franchises? Like, if you had to pick one.
I love Metroid. If I had to pick one, I wouldn't pick Metroid. I started saying I love Metroid before you got to the if you had to pick one part. It's a tough one. With Nintendo, it's definitely a tough one because everything first party that they launch is typically such high quality.
Yeah. I'll just say mine is Donkey Kong. By far is Donkey Kong. I have such an affinity towards the Super Nintendo. It's still probably my favourite console of all time. And Donkey Kong Country. Anytime a new Donkey Kong comes out, I have to play it. I'm still trying to play Tropical Freeze. I don't actually own a Wii, so that's quite tricky.
How's that going for you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
I would say, probably Zelda. Not that I've played it a lot, but I've probably played more Pokemon than Zelda. But I remember I have distinct. It's one of those games that has a defining memory associated with it from when you're younger, which is cool. And
was that Majora's Mask or?
I actually can't even remember which one it was. I definitely played some Ocarina of Time, but I'm thinking even earlier, like
the Oracle's games, like Oracle Age.
Exactly. The earlier ones. Those were really fun. Run around, swinging a little sort of like just pixel art sword at things, picking up hearts and just sort of exploring the puzzles and things. Great fun. And I don't even know how old I was, but definitely sort of memories of sitting down and having a good time with those. So probably Zelda, which is why hearing the potential of like an open world Zelda game, that sounds amazing.
It does. That sounds fantastic.
I think with the spreading out that Zelda's been doing recently as well, I mean, they've done... if they moving into an open world RPG, that's kind of a new place for Zelda games to go, so that's cool. Last year we had Hyrule Warriors, which was like a Dynasty Warriors style game in the Zelda universe. So it's like they're taking that IP and they're releasing games different to the core genre associated with that IP, but if they continue to spread it out in that way, I definitely think you could say you could play Zelda games as your one Nintendo IP and still be able to experience, a vast
good breadth of
they also had Triforce Heroes
games.
come out as well.
Yeah, that's true.
That looked quite cool.
Yeah, for me it's potentially Zelda as well. It's the same thing. It's just the childhood thing. Like when you think back to it and you just remember like it was Zelda games that I lost the most time to. Really just getting stuck in those games and really being lost in the world. I mean, that's what Nintendo does, world building. That's what they do pretty much, arguably better than any other of the at least platforms out there, more than Sony and Microsoft. As Nintendo really invest in defining every aspect of the world they create with their first party titles. And I think Zelda is one of the more expansive worlds they have. So
their game design philosophy is fascinating. Nintendo, like if you read interviews and stuff with the head guy who made Super Mario World, 3D World and stuff like that, just how they design those games. He talks about introducing a mechanic for one level and throwing that mechanic away, and it takes it takes weeks, months for them to come up with these mechanics, and they implement them for one section, and then they toss them away and you never see them again. It's like
there were
insane amount of effort.
I've still not finished 3D World for Mario, but certainly I can see that there are a lot of levels that had really cool things to them that you never saw again. There was this one level where the whole point, it was kind of like a like Electric Avenue type thing where you're going down and the music would be playing, and to the beat of the track the tiles would be changing colour, and if you stepped on the wrong colour the platform would fall. So basically you had to not only work your way down the path, but you had to pick the steps you took along the path, predicting which colour the platform was about to change to the beat of the music. Like it was, that was in one level only, and it was a really cool.
I love that game. I finished that. I used to love someone who owned a Wii U, and I finished that whole game in about a day or two, because I just absolutely adored it. It was fantastic. But I think we've digressed slightly from Battlefront. I think you have a story for us now.
Funnily enough, actually it made a good segue if we hadn't brought up how we diverged so much. It is to do with a Wii U game that I've been playing. So as you guys know, I've been lost a bit in Xenoblade Chronicles X. It almost took my spot for Game of the Year last year until I realised that actually what I meant was it's taken over Witcher 3 for RPG of the Year, but Witcher 3 can still claim Game of the Year, because while Xenoblade X is a better RPG, Witcher's a better game as a whole. But anyway, so yes, as you can see from the doc name, the story is essentially how I don't remember exactly, but how my 26 hours of work turned into a fun-filled 5-minute romp that ended in speechlessness. So effectively, a big mechanic advertised for Chronicles X over the original was the existence of skells, or they were called dolls in the Japanese version, which I immensely prefer, being able to, customize and dress up your dolls rather than your skells, but whatever.
That sounds bizarre.
But pretty much you have to play a long time before you can even take your Skell exam, and then your Skell exam itself is broken into 8 parts, which range from 2 minutes, instant handing because you already finished it just playing up to that point, to hours because you need to pick up a specific material that only spawns in one area at one time of day if the weather is correct at that time of day, and it's just crazy. But yeah, so after a few hours I managed to knock out all 8 parts, complete my exam and get my scout, and my save file was at about 26 hours by that point, because I'd done a lot of side quests and stuff. So I was like, okay, this is awesome. I can hop out and explore the world. Like, I can jump high now, I can move faster, I'm stronger, I can take on things like 20 levels higher than me.
And so this Skell is like a big mech
Gundam, pretty much,
thing,
yeah.
right?
It's a massive mech suit robot. It's cool how it alters your perceptive of the scale of the world, your perception of the scale, because when you hop in it, everything just feels so much smaller, which is really cool that they managed to get you go from playing for 20 plus hours of everything being massive and seeming so huge, and then you hop in this robot and all of a sudden everything's your size, and it feels like a typical RPG that you play on any other console, because people don't really play with scale too much in modern games. But so that's really cool. And so I was running around and I was trying to plant what are they called? Core mechanic of the game, and I can't remember what it's called. Pretty much you plant like kind of mineral extractor probes in areas to reveal more of the map and stuff like that. And to unlock the next story quest I needed a 25% completion rate in one of the maps. So I head over there and I start exploring, and I had this Skell for maybe 5 minutes after all this work to get it, and I was having so much fun. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I was just engaging little enemies that were like level 2 and just stepping on them, and they were popping, and it was awesome. And then I see a mineral deposit point to plant a probe, so I jump down to it, and as I land, because this is the Wii U, while the world is massive and the loading screens are tiny, it has pop-in because it's the Wii U. Technologically it's behind. So I land, and as I land, 20 plus enemies more than 20 levels higher than me all pop in exactly where I landed, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well for me, and I die instantly. They all attack me at once and I die. And the first thing I noticed when I die is I still had full health, and then I died a second time, but it all happened too quickly for me to really know what happened. I was just like, all right, that was weird. Maybe that's some Skell thing. You get a free repair kit or something weird.
Yep.
And then next thing I notice is I respawn, and I'm not in my Skell. I'm just my dude. And then I realized what happened is my Skell died and ejected me, and then I died, and now I don't have my Skell. And so I head back to town, and I'm like, maybe it will just teleport onto me. Maybe it did not teleport onto me.
I kind of lost that. It was
20 hours. That was 26 hours. What's going on? So then I go to the shop that sells Skells, and I'm like, maybe they do. Maybe they just die. Whatever. I go to the shop, realize I've got nowhere near enough money to buy a new Skell. So I'm like, what's going on? Turns out you get insurance with your first Skell, so that's all right. I got it back. I then blew it up later on and I got it back again, but now all my insurance is gone, so I've got to be careful. But what this game did that really stunned me as to how effectively it did it was when I realised what had happened, understandably, I put my controller down and I just sat there for a moment and I thought, what am I doing with my life? I've just spent 26 hours working towards something I lost in 5 minutes and don't know what's going on. I went to the internet to find out what was going on, and they knew. They were like, another dickhead who thought he was invincible. You've got insurance, go unassign it, reassign it to yourself, and then it will appear in your hangar. So I did it, and I was like, okay, cool. But I think what this game did so well is that it predicted people were going to do that, and it gave them a failsafe built into the game, but didn't tell them how to use that failsafe so that everyone would have the same experience as me.
Yeah,
that feeling of crap, it's gone, and then the realization that, okay, I've got it back, but they're a finite resource. And if I lose it, I'm going to need a crap load of currency to get it back. So when I realized that, I started playing with it differently, and I didn't just stay in my Skell and run around. If I saw small enemies that I could take out on foot, I'd hop out and I'd fight them, and then I'd hop back in. And it made combat so much cooler, fighting, like 5 little guys. Because the other thing is the Skells can really only do one-on-one large-scale combat. If you're surrounded by a group of little enemies, you'll one-shot them, but it'll take you forever because there's so many. Whereas if you hop out and you do your AoE attacks and your spirals, you can kill them much quicker. So something the game does really well is by teaching you quite quickly after getting your Skell that if it dies, you're screwed. You need to figure out how to get it back. It encourages you to not always stay in your Skell and still maintain playing the game the way you had those first 26 hours up to that point. It encourages you to experiment with the combat, experiment with the exploration, not always stay in your Skell. And I think the fact that I didn't immediately rage quit and never touch the game again to find out what had happened,
right.
the fact that even though I'd lost that, I was compelled to keep going, is nothing but credit to that game, really. The fact that even if I had not had that insurance and had not been able to get it back straight away, I would have kept playing. And yeah, sure, as soon as I had enough money, I would have bought a new scale. But I would have just kept playing and kept going. Even though up to that point, my goal had been, let's get a scale as soon as I can. As soon as I had that scale, and I knew that even if I didn't get it back, if I had to buy a new one, I was like, cool, now I'm just going to get on with the story and do all these other things I can do in the world.
It sounds to me like it did a good job of making you realise that it was your fault.
Yeah, totally was.
You're not saying to yourself, oh man, this game sucks because that game did this to me.
I could, arguably I could say the pop-in is shit. Because that was what killed me. The pop-in was what killed me.
That's pretty rough.
So, but at the same time, I hear what you're saying, like, at the same time, it was like, well, I shouldn't have just jumped down a cliff that I really knew I wouldn't be able to see the enemies at the bottom of until I got there. Because there could have been strong enemies. And I mean, that's something that Xenoblade, the original Chronicles, did as well, that this one does, which is the world is just littered with enemies higher level than you, as well as the same level as you and lower. It's a true open world RPG. It doesn't try to indicate where you should go based on level of enemies, because every map will have enemies of your level, lower level, and much higher, all littered amongst each other. And it's up to you to pick your fights carefully and choose the route you want to take. Like, it actually gives you that open world experience of the whole, it's a planet. Why would all the strong enemies migrate to one area of this entire planet? They wouldn't. They'd be littered throughout it, and the game does that. It's just like, you're here, you choose where you want to go, you choose what you want to do. You may have a story objective at level 10 that's blocked off by level 50. It's your job to figure out how to get around that level 50, because he lives there. He's not going to budge out your way. Like, you've got to figure out how to get there. And it does so many things. As I said, I give it my RPG of the Year award, even though Witcher 3 gets Game of the Year, because it is the pinnacle of, to me, what an RPG should be, what an open world RPG should do. And that is let you explore the world and do what you want and go wherever you want. And it does have that Souls feeling of, if you die, it's your fault. You screwed up. But you learn from that death and that mistake, you improve your strategy or your tactical, just your exploration methods or whatever from that. And it's a teaching game. And I mean, that's what I think Japanese games do a lot better than Western games, is they don't hold your hand, and they get you to learn from your experiences rather than from a bloody 2-hour tutorial at the start or whatever that you forget 10 hours in anyway. I mean, if anyone's tried to play a tutorial in a Japanese game, I'm looking at BlazBlue, you forget the second you stop. They overload you with so much information that there's just no point ever playing a tutorial for a Japanese game. Just get in there and figure it out. But yeah, no, it was crazy how I was just I'm still speechless about the experience now. I can't even accurately convey the emotion I felt when it happened. It was really just I guess I'll get stuck in with another objective and move on and go to Google later and figure out what I can do about my scale that I lost straight away.
Sounds like it was a good experience. Does it feel like, do you feel like you want to have a look into that game at some stage?
I definitely want to check it out, because I don't really have I don't have an image in my head even of what this game could look like or be. Like, I've kind of got this melding of all these different things. Like, I've got this envision of Super Mario Galaxies, that when you see there's like planets, I'm like, oh yep. So like, I imagine the planets like running around a planet and it rotates, which is completely wrong. But
it is just the one planet that you're on in the game. So it mentions other planets and aliens from other planets there, but you only explore the one. I mean, I guess the closest thing. No, I don't really have anything, to be honest.
Yeah, and then I've got like the power, like you're talking about the scales. I've got the power armor from Fallout 4. That's that's the analog to that. And then so it's this fusion of all these things, and it's this bizarre gumbo that I'm not entirely sure how to process in my head yet.
Yeah,
and maybe it's cell shaded in my head. I'm not too sure.
It is typical Nintendo cartoony kind of. They know they can't render realistic graphics. Go with the still very passable and good looking kind of cartoony Nintendo. So
essentially it's a fusion of The Witcher 3, Fallout 4, Zone of Enders, Armored Core, and I don't know, Animal Crossing or something. Some bizarre mix of
there is the whole management system of kind of Yeah, I guess there are Animal
Crossing elements. yeah. I'm definitely I'm gonna have to look up some sort of video and remove the mystique of what the hell this game is.
You can head to EB after this, and they've got a bundle: Wii U and Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh god, no.
Told Jace about it, and he was like, "Don't tell me about that."
I think I do. I think I really would enjoy a Wii U. I think I've been thinking about this for a while because I kind of miss having games that are it's just a fun platformer or something.
Two of my Game of the Year games I would give awards to for categories from last year are Wii U exclusives.
Yeah.
My RPG of the year obviously being Xenoblade Chronicles X, and my multiplayer shooter of the year going to Splatoon, hands down. They innovate on Nintendo. They take genres that you expect to handle a different way, and then they just add their own twist to it. Like, for example, with Splatoon, they go, hey, you play online shooters, and it's all about KD. This is not even slightly about KD. You can finish with 0 kills, 5 deaths, and still win the game for your team and have the highest score, because it's all about territory control and map control. And I think it's probably still, to date, the only game that has so much mapped to one button that that works. Your reload, your sprint, and I guess your kind of hide are all mapped to one button, which is your become a squid in the ink. When you're travelling through your ink, it reloads your gun. You're travelling faster and you're low on the ground, so you kind of dodge getting shot. So they map 3 things to one button and it works perfectly. Yeah. It's just, I don't know how they continue to innovate so successfully, but Nintendo need to pick up some decent hardware so that they can actually compete. Yeah. Because they have the ideas, they just are stuck in the early fucking 21st century with their technology and they're refusing to update. And it's so frustrating to watch them lose by default purely because they can't compete when they do have such amazing ideas.
I think I like the idea of having really simple, easy to understand mechanics, but just they're really interesting at the same time. So I'm thinking like one of the best games I've played in the last 5 years is Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii. I absolutely love that game. I smashed that out in probably less than a day. And then when the Abe's Odyssey and Abe's Exodus games came back to PlayStation 4, the reworked versions of those, granted they weren't quite as good as the originals. There was some difficulty with the input lag and things like that on PlayStation 4 versions. But man, I had a good time playing those again. They're just simple platformers.
Yeah, they were great.
Incredible worlds, amazing mechanics. You can do so much with just that slate kind of thing.
You can possess your own farts.
Yes. I really miss. I'm thinking more and more about buying a Wii U because I think I'd really enjoy because I love all Nintendo's franchises. I love that simplicity that they have, that fun that they have with their games.
And you can't look past the 100% backwards compatibility with Wii games as well. For whatever reason, PlayStation and Xbox are just failing to deliver on their platforms. That's the other game I've been playing this week is Trauma Center, New Blood. So I used to play the Trauma Center games on DS. They're basically, you're a surgeon and you'd use the stylus and you'd cut people open and get in there and excise tumours and all that stuff. They had one on the Wii, which I never got to play, which obviously now I can, and great fun game. You use the Wii remote, basically. You select your tools down the side and then you slice and you use the forceps to rip them open and you violently fail missions when you get through the game and it gets really difficult and they're kind of super genetically created virus that's wiping out the universe is introduced and it's cancer, but no, now it's morphed into syphilis and it just...
Oh, Jesus, that guy's having a run.
Use the laser, use the scalpel, use the forceps, use the force. I just do something. It's a great fun game. And it's just, again, it's one of those things where backwards compatibility seems to be such a major thing. When Microsoft did that thing at E3 last year where they announced that they were going to slowly roll out 360 compatibility, and it's like, but why? Why have you done it now? Why wasn't it built in system at launch? Nintendo has never had a problem with backwards compatibility.
Sony's got their joke of a backwards compatibility that they're claiming.
Oh, we're going to kind of release games slowly and you can buy them online digitally even if you own them.
It's not backwards compatible.
No, it's not. It's continuously HD remaking everything you've already made. Get some new IP that's not the order.
Great. I think we should probably move on that note to news. I've only got one thing written down here as the news of sort of the last week, I guess, and that's the Oculus Rift price point came out. and from what I remember, it was about 600 USD, and that translates to about a grandish, maybe 900 maybe New Zealand dollars. So
more than what anyone's going to pay.
Absolutely. Then for one, it's a peripheral. Well, that's what I'm going to be buying it as. PlayStation VR. It's a peripheral, right? It's
it is.
It's not its own thing. Oculus, but you still can't you have to plug it into a PC. You have to plug it into something that doesn't have its own little processing box.
I think the thing that's kind of makes the Oculus price point seem even worse is that there are competitors that are not very far behind them. We're probably going to see the Morpheus this year come out as well. That's going to be priced at the same price point as the PS4 console itself, so using half the price that the Rift is going to be.
Right.
And that you have the PlayStation already, so you can then play everything on it. Whereas with the Oculus Rift, everyone has a PC, but who has a powerful gaming rig that would actually be able to render games twice? Because effectively that's what it has to do. It has to render every frame twice.
Yeah.
For the Oculus Rift to be able to read it. And I mean, my new rig that I built could do that, but how many thousands did I spend on that? Like, does the average gamer... I mean, I guess if you're a PC gamer, the answer is yes, but if you're not a hardcore PC gamer and you're a console gamer who's just looking into getting a good VR experience, are you really prepared to not only pay $1,000 for the headset to do it, but then at least $2,000 on a rig as well to be able to render the games to play it? It's a hefty investment for technology that is probably going to be superseded quite quickly by something else.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it could be a massive game changer, and I'm starting to feel like it might be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it will still be in its early, its infancy.
Yeah, I almost feel like they've sort of put the price point quite high because they are sort of first out the gate.
Yeah.
Which I think is a bit of...
They've cornered the market, essentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, that seems to be their theory, but I think it's a mistake. You want, especially when you've got competition hot on your heels, like you say. If PlayStation comes out later this year with their product and it's half as much and just as good, and you don't need to buy a $2,000 gaming rig, who's going to go back and who's going to buy the Microsoft one? Yeah. I mean, I think they probably could have played it a bit better and sort of gone for a lower price and saturated the market earlier on. Knowing that there's these other ones coming up.
That feels the thing. If they priced it lower, you're right, they would have saturated the market with it to the extent that when the PlayStation came out, no one would be looking at it. Because I'll speak from experience as someone who used to be, still is a Sony fanboy. I love the PS4, I love the console, but when I got my gaming PC, I realised how far behind the hardware in the PS4 is and how much better, an up-to-date current PC is. So if they released the Oculus at a price point that, everyone was prepared to pay, everyone would buy an Oculus, it would increase the chances of everyone, then wanting to get a gaming PC that could play it. Then everyone would realise that PCs are the best platform if you don't care about the, controllers and couch co-op and stuff. And they would potentially boost future sales of, more developments that company made because everyone would now have the platform to play it off. Whereas by launching it so high, you're immediately pricing out anyone who doesn't already have the hardware. And the clock is ticking until a competitor releases something for cheaper for people who already have the hardware to play it on. So it's...
So they've got... So I'll just sort of remember which ones are coming out. So we've got the Oculus, we've got PlayStation VR.
There's the... I believe Samsung's doing one.
Samsung Gear VR, which is already out, I think.
Is that for mobile gaming or something?
Yeah. I had a Wii Go with one for a while, and it seems fine. It's the one where you clip your phone into the front of it.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I think that one works kind of well because it is for a totally different market. It's not for gamers. Like I think it's more for... Didn't they release specific things for the Gear VR, especially like movies and stuff, where it's like you watch the movie and the movie is kind of there on the screen, not there, because the peripheral here is other people sitting at the theatre watching it with you.
It's a bit odd.
It is.
I feel like I just want to see everything that's on
They did that, and they did, I believe, music concerts where you're there standing in the thing they've run, and I think they did wrestling shows as well, where you've got people heckling the wrestlers on either side of you. And I think stuff like that sounds really, really amusing, and I'd want to give one a go, not to the extent that I'd buy it.
It feels gimmicky though. It feels gimmicky, it's kind of...
But I feel like that's what they need. Yeah. They know if they're only doing it for mobile stuff, they're never going to be competing with the companies doing it for real gaming. So they need to look at what they can do that the gaming peripherals aren't going to be looking at doing. So at least they're getting creative with it, and they're being like, hey, we know no serious gamer is going to get ours, so let's just make something fun and quirky at a reasonable price point that people will enjoy.
Then what is it? How does that translate to people who use cell phones? You know,
It doesn't at all.
It's like I can't see the market for that. I just can't find it in my mind.
No,
it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But
you'll get the old people who specifically want to see a concert but are too old to go out and get amongst it, so they buy a Go Gear and then they put it on their head and realise that their old Nokia 3210 doesn't clip into it anyway. And then
that's an interesting point, because I think that's the exact market they're going for, is the people who, VR is something completely bizarre, and you never would have thought of this concept, and it's going to be teenagers who have no real interest in gaming or anything like that. It's going to be old people, it's going to be middle-aged people, kind of thing. People who have no interest whatsoever in computers nor gaming, but they find this thing that sort of makes it into this niche that is actually really interesting, and they can watch movies and they can feel up to date, and
they can watch their porn on the bus without people next to them giving them dirty looks.
Exactly.
Touche. Yeah, be a good travel companion. Sitting on an airline watching all the porn you want. Sorted.
I mean, they will still be giving you dirty looks because you got your hand down your pants, but you might not because you're sitting there with your headset on. So.
And they've also the HTC Vive is the other one that's coming out, which is I know literally nothing about that, so let's see what happens with that. And on that note, I just want to talk a little bit about PlayStation VR and with regards to No Man's Sky, which I think at this point hasn't been officially confirmed. But at this point, I think it's safe to say it will be a PlayStation
safe
VR
to
game.
assume, yeah. I feel like it'd be a pretty easy port to just basically put it on a piece.
And I mean, there has been interviews with Sean Murray of Hello Games, in which there's a PlayStation VR unit in the background of his office, and you can see it on these people's desks. So they're obviously making this game with PSVR in mind. And I think that's a really interesting and really smart way to do this game, because it has, overpromised. Essentially.
100%. I think if they don't innovate with the VR as a core component, it's going to flop.
People
are going to buy it and realise it's not even vaguely what was promised. Even with VR, people are pretty quickly going to be like, oh, well, now I feel like I'm actually there, but I'm still not doing anything.
It is a fantastic concept, and I do appreciate that they're going for this whole vast, huge, like, hardcore sci-fi, Asimov and Clarke and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, that doesn't translate to... It's great in novels, and it's even great in movies. It doesn't particularly translate well to hundreds of hours in a game.
So I played a board game on Friday night where I thought it funny that in the rulebook on the first page it said, we made it a board game because it's literally the one medium that could be used successfully to act out this sort of scenario, and I disagree entirely. It would have been fine as a game, and it's been like 1 million successful TV shows already, so it's just a dirty lie. But I think with No Man's Sky, that would be the case. Not with board gaming as a medium, but I think there probably is a correct medium to tell in, and I don't think gaming is that medium. With what they're trying to achieve, I just don't feel like an open world video game is the best way to do it.
That's why I think it's really smart if they are running with PlayStation VR as one of their main marketing points, because that is a game that will blow you away if you put on that headset, and if it does look like it does, and you can do all that shit with that in VR, that's going to be something
pretty amazing.
I
think it's just going to be sort of a kind of a nice kind of sort of first showing of what sort of procedural generated kind of games are going to be like. And I think even if there's no storyline, or if it's just kind of like play how you want to play, which to me sounds boring. I can go out and mine minerals and things and find random animals on a planet, but like
I could do that in real life.
I thought that's what you were going to say. To go out and mine minerals.
Take my little pet, start hitting rocks with it.
It's actually boring as fuck. But I mean, it's just going to be a good showcase for what that kind of game could be like. And I think maybe down the track, a developer could take that idea and build in more traditional elements with storytelling and that kind of thing, and it could be really fucking sweet. But I guess it just sort of stands to sort of be seen.
And it's I really do want to support them, because I do like Hello Games and I do like Sean Murray, and they're from they're from Guildford in England, like a pretty small town, and there's only about 20 people in their dev team, so I really do want to support what they're doing. But but I think they have been a bit more ambitious. I mean, the only other game that they've made, as far as I can tell, is Joe Danger, which was essentially a trial bike Elastomania type game, and collect coins and do stunts. And now they're going for like
that was a DS or something?
Some Nintendo platform, yeah. I might have been Wii. But yeah, and now they're going for like the most expansive open world game where you can literally visit trillions of planets and spend your entire life in this game and never visit every single planet.
I think another mistake they've made is they've taken far too long to talk price, and now it's become general assumption that this is going to be a free PS Plus game.
I heard that as well.
And I think that to expect a game that, as you've said, develop only 20 devs, small studio, for their one release in however many years to be free to the majority of people, and that's an unrealistic expectation. Yeah. But because they've taken so long to touch on price at all, that's the general assumption that the majority of people have made.
Yep.
And that's going to really bite them later when they announce that it's going to be, $30 or whatever. Everyone's going to be like, what? I thought this was free. I'm not giving you money for this. Especially if you're now telling me that the best way to play it is on VR and I need to drop $400 on a peripheral as well. Get out of town. So.
Well, that brings up another interesting question. Are you guys going to be early adopters VR?
My wife's going to get one day one. I know that. So
day one, nice.
Yeah, she's been really looking into that. So.
I can't see myself getting it early on. If something comes out that really grasps me, I mean, to me, it always comes back to the games. If there's a good game that's going to inspire me to get it, like when I first bought my PS4, that was because The Witcher came out. I thought that's a game that I just have to have.
Yep.
If there's going to be good games that come out, maybe, but I can't see myself picking up one on day one just because it's the new thing.
Yep.
I'd hate for it to turn into another Connect type situation.
Right.
Where it's just where it's terrible.
Yep.
So, yeah, not so much myself. No.
I'm torn at the moment because I do really feel like this could be the start of something really interesting and really big and a game changing, and I would like to be at the forefront of that, but at the same time I've never been one to pick things up on day one.
Yeah.
Weeks, months go by before I buy things. So
I'm one of the people who used an old flip phone until the iPhone 5. Like, I do not like to trust that technology will work until it's had several iterations that have all done the job kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, with this one, I mean, the missus is going to pick one up, then I don't have to worry about it. If it's good, I was an early adopter through proxy. If it's not, then no skin on my back, no money out of my wallet. Kind of thing. Like,
it's interesting as well because you're not going to be able to watch reviews of people playing these games and sort of get an idea of how good it is from that actual that visual experience. You're going to have to rely on people's journalism. And the way they talk about things, the way they explain things, and the way they write articles. I know, right? So that's going to be.
Or if they want to do a video of it, the camera should be pointed at the person with the headset on, not showing the footage of what they're seeing. So it's just a dude in the room going whoa, thing in front of his head, like.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure, and. Because when I remember as a kid, I would think about, they always did those gimmicky virtual reality kind of things in movies and that sort of thing. Yeah. I was thinking to myself, man, like, if you've got this headset on, how do you walk around without bumping into things? Things like this.
Yeah, did you ever see that early
multi-directional treadmill, man?
Yeah, that early test for Skyrim where he had the Oculus Rift on and the treadmill, so he was just walking on the spot, and it's like, mental, and he had little gloves on and he was pulling out his bow. And,
we're all Andy Serkis.
I'm still pretty sure that's all fake. Like, they just showed some gameplay and then showed a dude on a treadmill, and they're just like, look what you can do, and none of it was syncing up at all. It was all lies.
The last piece of VR I saw was a guy on the same thing on a multi-directional treadmill in a game world in a backyard that looked like probably worse than PlayStation 2 graphics, attempting to pick up a hamburger. And failing miserably. There's these like full, models of hamburgers that the buns don't detach or anything like that. Yeah. It's just one thing, and he's trying to pick one up, and his hand's going like this, and it's like flailing around, and sort of like looks like his arms breaking in three places.
Real life? Did you see him in real life playing it? 'Cause potentially that's what he was doing.
Yeah, you could see him in real life. But no, he was just trying to pick up this hamburger, and his arm was like spazzing out. And this was Oculus Rift, so I was just like. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about this technology.
Looking forward to that technology.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
It's one of those things as well where, as I was saying earlier with the whole cinema thing and watching a movie in a cinema with other fake pre-rendered people.
Yeah.
Looking side to side, you see people next to you and you see your arms, but again, like in real life, that has no correlation to your arms in the VR. They're just firmly mounted on the seat, on the thing on either side. And I think that the VR headset alone, it's the first step and potentially the biggest step needed to breach the disconnect between gaming and reality. Not that I made the argument when they first announced it where I said, no thanks. I like my games to be games, and I like to know that I'm sitting on my couch with a controller playing my game. I don't want to think I'm actually there because I might die somehow. I don't ever want to be in that state where I don't know if what I'm experiencing is real or a game.
Right.
So I'm hoping they never get into, full freaking immersion, put your head in a pod and you're there kind of thing, because I will never come out.
Pod and it sinks into your spinal column, and
because I will never leave. But I think that the peripheral itself, while a major leap, is not enough of a leap to that immersion that people want you to get, because the rest of your body is still doing nothing. You're still just on a mouse and keyboard or holding a controller. It's just a closer monitor. Why not just put your face up on your monitor? It's not enough of a jump, I think, to actually be changing anything yet. I think when they start releasing the accompanying peripherals, like the gloves and the full body suits
of
or
armor,
whatever, until
Can
we
you
reach...
imagine walking in on someone playing one of those games, like wearing a big
Chivalry
with white bubbles all over it?
I think until we reach that
playing
point,
Dance Revolution,
the immersion's not going to be too much more than it already is, because you're still always going to have that disconnect of, okay, in the game, my dude's sprinting along and I'm diving for cover, but I'm still just sitting in my chair with one hand on my keyboard and one on my mouse, or a controller in my hand. Like, I'm still... It feels like a different way to view your content rather than a different way to play it still at this point. So that's why I don't think it's going to be bad by any means, the release of these things. I think it is going to push this sort of stuff forwards and this more creative way to play, but I don't think this is the step that's going to really change much at all.
Right. It is going to be good for a type of game and a type of section of game that I absolutely despise, which is on rails. On rails sections of gaming. I mean, that's what it's perfect for, right?
It is, yeah.
Give me a version of give me Pokemon Snap remade for the for the Oculus or PSVR.
Special camera controller as well, where you hold
there
it.
You go. Yeah, $400 just for the camera controller.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect.
Pretty much
but
one button.
There's only so much you can do with on rails, and I mean, I've seen that demo of. It's not fully on rails. The Eve, Valkyrie Chronicles or whatever, the one in space.
I believe there's an Until Dawn one as well that's coming out.
Yes, it's a roller coaster one. Yeah, Rush Blood to the Head. I think it's a Coldplay album, but it's called something like that. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that sort of stuff. Well, I wanted to go over our most anticipated games of this year. Let's just stick with one. What's our most anticipated game of this year? I'll put it over to you, Regan. What's your most anticipated?
Most anticipated.
2016.
Yeah, of 2016. I am sort of I think I'm looking forward to Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yep.
Because I'm just kind of interested in the premise. Yeah, and the and what I've seen so far. I think that looks like it could be really, really cool.
Yep.
There's a good mix there. Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of intrigued by the potential for the story of that game as well. Kind of the sort of post-apocalyptic sort of idea, but not in a Fallout kind of sense where everything's fucked. It's sort of more, it's gone the other way and it's, nature's taken back over.
Yep.
But I really want to know what the fuck is up with those robots. I just actually really, I just want to know how they're writing that in there. I hope that's not a letdown in terms of their story, but and the game itself looks really fun, based on the very short gameplay sort of segments we've seen.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to seeing how that
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, I think so.
But before I played Killzone Shadowfall, I would have had no interest whatsoever. I thought it would have been generic bollocks. And but after playing that, I am quite excited for what they could do with the storytelling in Horizon Zero Dawn, because Killzone Shadowfall was incredibly underappreciated game.
Yeah.
That is a really good game, and
I was surprised because I got it as pretty much the launch title for PS4. I was like, I'm getting a PS4. this is the only game out, please don't be a sack of crap. Like, I didn't like the previous Killzone games.
Yeah.
They were plotless, pointless shooters of no consequence that, for whatever reason, made a huge impact on FPS gaming on Sony, and I will never understand why.
It was Sony's answer to Halo, essentially.
Terrible games. But yeah, Shadowfall was enjoyable, and it was because it wasn't just another generic soldier commando walking guns blazing shooter. You were a stealth operative who was supposed to be doing all these kind of Black Ops missions and stuff. And I definitely enjoyed Shadowfall as well.
It had these mini open worlds as well. Each level wasn't really that like a linear thing. Everything was quite open, and you could choose where to go to an extent.
I think everyone has that one, like, who's played it, just has that one particular level in mind when you talk about, you know, the potential open world aspect of that stuff, and that was that one with the bloody multiple towers with the security systems you had to shut down or something before you could blow up some giant statue. It's quite early on in the game. It was like a green foresty level.
I think we might be thinking of the same thing.
Yeah, I just remember, like, I don't remember much of that game, but that level is the one that always stood out to me as wow, this game has depth for an FPS.
Yeah, and it's actually, like, pretty hard, that game. It's challenging, Killzone Shadowfall. Like, I played it on normal, I play everything on normal, and I died multiple times in that game. So that's yours, Horizon Zero Dawn?
I'm locking it in. Yep, should be good.
Balthazar?
So mine hasn't been announced as a 2016 release, but it also hasn't been announced as being later than 2016. I think the assumption with the trailers ramping up recently is that it will be 2016. And that's Kingdom Hearts 3.
Right.
I'm one of the people who has been fortunate enough to, prior to the releases, already have the platform that all the releases are disjointedly coming out on. So I have been able to play everything going through, and as much as I would never condone someone, I would never ever recommend the series to someone who hasn't already played the games, because yes, to get the full story you have to own like 6 different freaking platforms, and it's just stupid. They did release the majority of the games on PS3 in a collection that people could pick up, but it's definitely, its story is crazy to the point that you can't even begin to explain what might be happening. I'm pretty sure the last game had a lot of time travel elements where the villain collected himself from different eras in time and like made an army out of different points of his life. And maybe, but I don't know. Like, it's cool. It's cool anyway. The characters are cool. Hopefully, since episode 7 was successful, people will stop hating on Disney so much. The Disney elements are cool. The Square elements are cool. The original characters in it are the best part of it. Like, Tetsuya Nomura has proven himself time and again since, you know, becoming creative director or what have you over at Square that he delivers good stuff. And yeah, I'm hoping it's this year, because everything they've released for it looks like exactly what I at least want the conclusion to be, even if other people don't. I'm pretty sure Kingdom Hearts fans are on the same page, and Kingdom Hearts 3 does look like it's going to deliver.
Awesome. Well, I'm kind of been put on the spot here because I thought Regan was going to say Uncharted 4, so now
I left that space open for you, eh?
Oh, did you?
I had a feeling that was going to be you.
I actually had another game planned. Well, I'll say Uncharted 4. Obviously, we're all looking forward to that. But the game that really came to mind for me is The Witness, which is that open world puzzler by Jonathan Blow, who did Braid.
Too late, or whatever. Like 3 years delayed.
I absolutely adore puzzle games. It's probably my favourite genre if I think about it. And that game looks, you know, from the small amount that I know about it, it looks like insane. There's about 200 hours of gameplay, he said, or something, and there's like 90 puzzles or something, and I'm still not entirely sure what's going on, because all the puzzles look to be these kind of join the dots type things, but he's such a mysterious dude that I know there's so much more going on there, and I think that's going to be sort of one mechanic connect to something else, and the art style was sort of
sounds like he's had plenty of time to think about it.
It was supposed to be shortly after the launch of the PS4.
Yeah, it was almost supposed to be a release title.
PlayStation Network title, but
it's almost cel shaded, but not quite. It's got a really interesting art style.
It's kind of like Ether 1.
No. Yeah, well, the PlayStation Plus game.
Yeah,
it is similar to that, except not a load of shit.
Yeah, I mean the visual aesthetic is similar to Ether 1. The gameplay can't be as
No. So I'm really looking forward to that. It just, there's a lot of sort of mystique around it, and I love puzzle games, and I love games that give you those mini epiphany moments, and Braid just had that in droves, and I felt like my brain was melting at some points as well, and I did have to use a walkthrough of it a couple of times throughout that game because there is just some stuff I just, there is some logic in there, but how you get to those conclusions is pretty intense. Like I'm not a Mensa. I wouldn't be able to figure those things out on my own. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that game and seeing what comes of that because I believe he said it's coming out first half of this year, so it should be before. And June is all dedicated to VR, so it should be somewhere. I mean, that game in VR would be an interesting thing as well because I guess it's got a similar art style to No Man's Sky as well. It's in that sort of vein, so that could be interesting if it has VR support as well.
Yeah.
On another thing I just wanted to talk about. Being released very soon crept up on me. Did not realise this. Far Cry Primal, which is coming out the end of February. Did you guys even know? Like, I saw the Far Cry Primal stuff. Maybe it was E3. Maybe it was PSX or
I saw it last year.
Gamescom or something. Yeah, I don't remember. But I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, sweet, another Far Cry. It's being released next month. So I mean,
I guess the thing for me about Far Cry really is that I would never know when that game is going to come out, just so I would never know when the next number release is coming out.
Yeah.
I can freely admit that while people may have enjoyed them, I have never touched Far Cry 3 or Far Cry 4 or Blood Dragon or anything. I played Far Cry 2 and I thought Far Cry 2 was cool, but that one was totally different to the direction that 3 and 4 went in. 3 and 4 were both played by the missus, so I've watched them through kind of thing, and I feel a lot of the time like games I watch right through that don't seem to have much substance, that I have no desire to then go and play them myself. And those games were games that I feel like watching them I got the same level of meh I would have if I'd played them. I would never even notice if anything Far Cry related was announced. So I'm not surprised that I wasn't aware it was coming out.
I just can't see them breaking the mold with this at all, and it's just going to be... It's going to be another Far Cry game, but you carry a spear and...
Yeah, it's all melee combat.
Yeah, it doesn't appeal.
No.
Far Creed.
Yeah.
Far Creed.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think outside the box a little bit, and I guess that's what they've tried to do by putting a different time and all that kind of stuff, but unless there's a whole lot more to that game that I haven't anticipated, it just doesn't seem like there's not much.
It definitely seems like it's still, just going to be killing guys, climbing towers to unlock more of the map.
And continuing on and doing more of the same.
Except
with no gyrocopters, which were the best part of one.
Yeah, Far Cry 4, Ubisoft do build really, really beautiful worlds. Far Cry 4, I did get gobsmacked when I started that game up and got my first gyrocopter and cruised around. I was like, wow, this looks incredible.
It was a nice looking game.
Really, really good. But everything within those games is just so run-of-the-mill, do this, repeat fetch quest, whatever, skin 10 bears and you can get a bear skin coat. It's
a lot of bear fur.
It's I can't get excited about it at all. It'll come out. It'll get about a 7, and then we'll all move on with our lives.
Exactly.
I think it's pretty much what's going to happen. But in the same vein, Ubisoft discussion. Let's just talk about the Division. Now I don't think this has a perma release date either. But what I've heard, which was interesting recently, is that the Division is actually a secret numbers game, they refer to it as, which is essentially Borderlands. So you shoot someone and you get a certain amount of points come off, and it's all about looting and things like that. Apparently that's what the Division is going to be like. Now the marketing would lead you to believe otherwise. It seems more like what's Tom Clancy's The Division, right? So it seems like a Rainbow Sixy, gritty, going for the realism type thing. So it seems like a change of pace, or have they obscured that from people intentionally? Or have they just got really shitty marketing team? What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm not too sure because there's so much. They've sort of tried to mash quite a few different ideas together in this game, and perhaps that's the thing. Perhaps they just don't really know how they should be telling people about this game. It's it's open world, but it's a first-person shooter, and it's online co-op.
Third-person shooter, I think.
Or third-person shooter. Yep. Online co-op. It's kind of like how and it's got RPG elements, and it's doing all of these things, which could be awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised. It's kind of hard for them to figure out how they're going to market that. I'm
not surprised with this thing. Where people now kind of getting the news that it's a numbers game and everything, because I don't know if you guys recall when I told you about my experience with it up at Auckland Armageddon last year, and how they had that kind of preview build of it available. It felt very much like that. If you guys remember me telling you about kind of the guns and how they felt differently and how they didn't want to force you into a specific play style, but they did unintentionally through the mechanics that their guns had. Like, for example, how SMGs had a secret hidden range where if you were more than X distance away from your target, they become wildly inaccurate just for no reason at all. Like, your aiming and your ability to do stuff didn't seem to hold much sway over the way the game played out. It seemed to all be random numbers generating whether you hit, how much damage you did and everything. And that was a complaint I had after trying it out at that preview build. So I'm not surprised that they've now announced that, actually it is all about the hidden numbers and stuff like that, because that's very much what it felt like. And I can see why they would shy away from advertising it that way, because it's not really a good model of game at all. It's the one thing I don't like about old time RPGs that I'm glad even classic RPGs that are modern RPGs that are trying to harken back to the classics are steering clear of, which is that element of when you level up your stats, it's not a direct boost to your damage or whatever, it's a modifier onto the invisible dice roll to see how much damage you did. Like, that's how old-timey RPGs went. They very much played to the pen and paper style. And I'm glad that modern day ones that even try to be like the old ones aren't really doing that, because I don't think it has a place in video games. Like, video games should be skill based, where your ability to play it affects how well you play it, rather than so you can aim your gun and you can shoot it, but a random roll of a dice will determine whether it hits, and if it does hit, it will determine whether it's a glancing blow or a penetrating shot.
I find that really frustrating. It's if you're someone who prides yourself on skill, and there are a lot of people like that with first person or even third person shooters, you're going to get frustrated with that. If you're headshotting people and it's not headshotting people, you're going to get angry.
Lag. There's going to be cause of lag. But did you guys ever play the PlayStation 2 game Freedom Fighters? Remember that?
No.
It sort of harks back to that similar thing in Freedom Fighters. You sort of, I'm not sure in Division if you command a team of people. If it's all online, I guess you don't. But Freedom Fighters, you commanded a team of people. They all had different skills, and you went across New York City and sort of took it back. But it sort of reminded me of that, just a Ubisoft version. So not particularly excited about that. It's probably going to be another one that's going to fly by, but we'll see. Looks like someone's written down something here about DLC.
Yeah, that was me.
Yep.
I've been thinking about DLC recently and how almost every game has it. And now, to the extent that games release, or prior to release, a pre-order bundle will include the season pass or something, so that the developer knows full well that they're not releasing all the content of the game, that they're going to release more over time. And so you want the season pass and you want to get it with it. So I guess I just want to get a general feel on opinions of DLC as a whole. Like, do we see it as something that we like in games? I mean, a lot of the time the argument will be made, back in the day, games were released complete and they were finished, and you get what you paid for and that was it. And if you got more later on, cool, but that was never the deal. The deal was you pay for a complete game and you'd get the complete game. And I feel like because DLC is being used so much by shitty developers these days to be able to ship incomplete games and then finish them later for more money, that people overlook when games are released complete and just have DLC as well. The Witcher 3 being a prime example. I mean, that game may have been incomplete. There may have been some features missing, but they added those with free DLC along with some extra stuff. And the season pass is for additional DLC that was never intended to be included in the game. So removing it, even if you were to add it, cool, the main game would have been exponentially larger. But by lifting it out, you don't make that core game any less complete. They are totally isolated, separate experiences. And The Witcher 3 is a game that I had no problem picking up Season Pass for. I mean, Heart of Stone was phenomenal. I'm sure Blood and Wine will be amazing as well. And so I guess I just want to know, would you guys rather that DLC become less frequent, or because another thing for me is I feel if a game comes out complete, like The Witcher 3, I did very much like what you did, Regan, on the first playthrough, where I just did the story. The only side stuff I did was collecting the bear armor, the Mastercraft or the Superior, whatever the maximum tier that was, because I thought it looked cool. So I wanted that for my final confrontation, and I always intended to go back to it and delve into it more later. and DLC was what allowed that to happen. The addition of more content was then like, cool, now I've got something new to play as well, so now I'll go back into the game and I'll do that whole delving into it with New Game Plus that had released since then as well, go through it again, do side quests, do the DLC, whereas if that DLC hadn't dropped, I probably wouldn't have picked the game back up again yet because of the constant new releases coming out. So I guess I just want to feel of how you guys feel about DLC. What do you think that it does prolong the life of games, whether artificially or genuinely, and whether you'd rather see games take longer to come out with all that content included from the go? Or
I think it depends on what that initial game and the initial product is like. If it's a shit game and they're fixing it with DLC, then that's just a shit game.
I'm just going to say that Destiny was shit, Taken King made it playable.
Yeah, case in point.
That's on the box.
That's an example.
Yeah, Taken King makes Destiny playable.
If it's like that, then that's not cool. Then that's just, they shouldn't be charging for that or anything like that. It should be a patch on the game, and they should make the game better. But I think if you've got a game that you really like, it's almost doing a service to your audience, because you're giving them more content. And like you say, if you've got a game like The Witcher where the game itself is absolutely whole, and you'd be fine never to get Heart of Stone or anything like that, and it'd still be great. It's just giving people that opportunity to delve back in if they want to spend a bit more money. I like it. I think it's a good thing. It's a natural kind of progression now that we have consoles and things that can do it, and speedy internet and all that kind of stuff. I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Well, so my relationship with DLC, I was thinking about it just then. The last piece of DLC I probably bought, if I'm correct, was a map pack for Halo 3.
Which you bought yesterday.
Yeah. So that was probably around 2009 or 10.
Good job.
So I
don't know how you could do that.
I've thought about it. Sometimes. I thought about buying the Shadow of Mordor one because I remember you saying that was really good.
That was good.
But I just don't. I buy my full titles, and then that's the end of that. Like the only ones I would possibly consider would be The Witcher, because I absolutely love CD Projekt and I love their ethos and how they manage that sort of stuff, and you can tell it isn't tacked on. It's something that they've had another team working on, and they've lovingly crafted it, and they haven't just pried it out of the main game and been like, right, we're going to repackage this and sell it back to you for more.
I guess along a similar vein to your thing though is, would you consider, because I would, to be purchasing DLC if you deliberately don't buy a game on release or short after release because there's a ton of DLC, and you wait for the Game of the Year edition to be released and then pick that up with all the DLC bundled in? Because if you were specifically waiting for that version to come out, I would personally still consider that purchasing DLC, because you didn't buy the game incomplete, you bought it with all the DLC.
Right. I've never had DLC in my mind at all when I'm buying a game, Game of the Year or not. I've never thought about it. I did buy the standalone Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
So if that counts as deal, I'm not sure if that counts. It's a sort of
that's
physical,
a tough call to make. Yeah, because I think it was a totally separate. It was a standalone. It was a totally separate game, isolated, that could be played without the original. So I don't think it's DLC.
Yeah. No, so I think I stand by my Halo 3 map pack, but it's not something that ever really enters my mind, to be honest. DLC, I look forward to my full installments, and then after they're gone, and that's the end of that.
Would that be changed if something would have happened? Say, for example, they would have released that removed or incomplete episode 12 or what have you from Phantom Pain. If it was a franchise that you'd been invested in since youth, and you really wanted to see all of it and see it to completion, would that convince you to
say so you're sort of posing
if they released that hidden Sahelanthropus fight chapter.
If they were to release that tomorrow and I've already finished the Phantom Pain kind of thing, would I buy it? Yes I would. Yes, I suppose that
so basically it would have to be a big deal for you.
Huge deal. It has to add a lot, and I have to want to go back to that game world, and I I think I have a pretty short attention span nowadays when it comes to video games. And if something's not linear and it's not like, I'm not just walking through it and able to knock it out in, 10 to 20 hours, then I kind of I want to move on.
If you like linear, walking in a straight line, knocking it out. Have you heard of Final Fantasy?
I knew you were going to say Final Fantasy 13. But yeah, no, that's my relationship with DLC. It's pretty much non-existent.
Good to know. We've got a good coverage there, I think, because you're not too.
I'm a season pass whore. I buy the game, and if the pass is already in the store before I've even played the game to know if it's good or not, I've got the season pass.
Yeah.
I guess it's mild OCD. I need to have it all. I need to have all the full complete thing. Yeah. Except if it's skins. If they just are like,
oh my god.
Here's a skin for your gun in single player that no one else is going to see, and what the fuck is the point for $10? No. Yeah. Get out.
I guess on the other side of the coin, mine's kind of OCD as well. I don't like the idea of having a full game. I imagine it like a book on a bookshelf, right? So I've got a big novel, like a big Harry Potter Order of the Phoenix sized novel, and it's sitting there, and then I've got another smaller novel of 100, 200 pages sitting beside it that's actually part of that one.
But what if you've got your big Order of the Phoenix novel that's however many, and they're in the spine. When you close it, the back cover is on a slight angle because those 100 pages are meant to be added in once you've purchased them.
It's a good analogy, actually. I have to reconsider my argument.
Because that's what a lot of withheld DLC is. It's the incomplete title being finished later.
Totally ruining Abe's nice, beautiful, clear picture.
I secretly am part of EA's DLC marketing campaign.
Yeah. In-game purchases, everyone.
Yeah. Just as a last thing, we'll do our usual, what will now be our usual segment. I've coined it weird shite or glitches we've noticed.
Weird shite.
Anything you guys have come across? It doesn't have to be a glitch. It could just be something of notice.
Strange.
Something odd, something arcane, beyond the pale.
It's quite hard for me to think of this because the games I've been playing recently have been good.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been finished and they work and they do what they're meant to. But have also, as I said earlier, I played a bit of Battlefront, and I noticed yesterday evening, I was on the map, the Sulis map.
Yep.
And it was a walker assault, and there's one of the bases, I think it's on the second stage, where it's one of the bases that has got the entrance and you go in, and I was on the rebel side, so the activation point's in there. And there's a door behind the Y-wing, beacon that doesn't open, but shadow troopers, and only shadow troopers, no other type of Imperial force, can clip through the door and shoot you through it. So there was a dude killing everyone who went to reactivate the beacon, and no one could get him because the door was blocking shots that you tried to send through there. Yeah, that was...
we didn't pick that one up in QA.
No, well, it's so strange because, I saw other people clearly on his team. I was mowing them down because they were trying to join him, and they were running into the door, and there were scout troopers, there were regular troopers, helmet, no helmet. I saw Boba Fett walk through there, and he turned around and killed me as soon as I started shooting him in the back. But it was just this one shadow trooper who every now and again you'd see him pop out and go back in to kind of show his people how to get in, but no one else could get in, so it seems only shadow troopers can clip through that door. That dude, either shadow troopers or that one guy can clip through that door. So.
My thing's also in Battlefront, so I'll go now if you don't mind reading.
Go for it. Yep.
It's not anything. It's not a glitch or anything like that, but just the animation and the noise that Senator Palpatine makes is unbelievably strange. I don't understand what was going on. Who was in charge, the team dedicated to the character and the assets of Senator Palpatine? Who decided he was going to do some sort of weird... It's like a toned-down version of the Nutrigrain, the Nutrigrain TIE Fighter screen. But it's this man that's probably hundreds of years old, and he does about, 5 barrel rolls through the air.
I love that move. It just says...
It's just the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. This crotchety old fucking, dude who's a walking skeleton, essentially, and he just moves like nothing else. And as soon as someone did it, like I wasn't playing, I watched someone do it, and I was just like, hang on, what was that I thought it was like a glitch or something weird happened, some latency or something like that. Yeah, and then he was like, no, you do this, and you press like left button or something, and he just did about like 5 cartwheels through the air. I was just like, hey, what? This is traditional Star Wars, right? Like, I don't remember that.
Did that ever come up? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably episode 3, Palpatine doing some weird Senate Yoda fight.
All I can imagine that would make it better is if overlaid on top of that weird scream, and while you're cartwheeling through the air, he went, good. This is a mini soundbite. And you just hear
limited power!
Yeah, you just hear it. All, like reverbing all over the map. Everyone's Palpatine, and there's just all these like sound bites. Yeah, that was insane. I'm still trying to comprehend why that was put on there. But
excellent.
I don't even know what purpose it serves, other than quickly getting you across the map. Like, it doesn't seem to be an ability that
other than distracting everyone else around you because there's this fucking 90 million-year-old dude flying through the air.
My one is actually really tame compared to that, and it's just something I've noticed with The Witcher, and it's nothing too crazy, but it's to do with your horse, right? Because you're in a big open world, you've got to have a horse to get about.
Good old Roach.
Roach, yeah, we all know and love him. But I'm thinking of games like, for example, the games that have done horses really well, like Red Dead Redemption. Your horse was just kind of nearby, and he was always there, and he was your best chum. I've just noticed with Roach, you can whistle for him, and he spawns Roach. Roach loves to be hanging out in the weirdest fucking places. So you'll be in the middle of a village or something, and you'll call Roach, and he'll just be sort of off behind a building in their back sort of yard, eating something out of their garden, or he'll be up between 3 or 4 trees. It's like, why did they decide to just have him randomly generate anywhere within your peripheral? And it seems like every time you ask for Roach to appear, he's just fucking standing in the weirdest place. Standing on a little rock, or standing just in the swamp, or it can be anything. But that's probably the one thing I've noticed recently. It's just, they didn't I don't think they thought about it. They were like, he'll just randomly generate there somewhere and it'll work. But he gets himself into some strange situations.
If you spam call for him, there's also a chance that 2 roaches will come, and one of them will be in a more convenient place that you can get. Because I remember I kept clicking the button and he wasn't coming, so I just kept calling over and over, and then 2 roaches came. And I was
That's
like,
convenient.
okay. And one of them followed me for a little while. Like, I hopped on one and started riding, the other one followed because he was still trying to have me get on him. And then I guess after like 2 minutes the game realised what happened and just got rid of it and just disappeared.
So, speaking of The Witcher and horses, did I tell you guys about my experience in the first couple of hours of playing The Witcher? What happened there?
No.
I'm in White Orchard, and you go into that pub, and they're hassling the barkeep and stuff like that, if you guys remember that section. And I went into the bar and sort of walked in a couple of steps, and people started yelling at me and calling me a dick and all that sort of stuff, as they do with anywhere you go in The Witcher. And I turned around, and there was 3 dudes sitting at a table, a couple of dwarves I think, and one other guy. Sitting at that table also was a horse. Now the horse was positioned in a way where the back feet were on the ground, the front feet were on top of the table, so it looked like it was like trying to join in the conversation. And this is my first Witcher game, and I'm not a huge fantasy guy. I don't really know what's acceptable.
I'm really sure if the horse is meant to be there.
I was completely baffled. I was like, is this harder? But the table that I was sitting at was right against the wall, so obviously the horse had somehow clipped through the wall and got in. But then it was just massive coincidence that it just happened to be in this pose that looked like it was joining in on the conversation kind of thing.
That's
and it was
great.
I took a screenshot of it on my PlayStation. I'll send it to you guys. I was just lost my shit when I saw that. And I realised it wasn't meant to be there.
I think that table's pretty broken, because that same table, I know what one you're talking about. I remember that point because I walked in and I talked to those guys, and it was a hard crash and I had to reset my console.
Oh wow!
So I think that table is just broken. It does things to the game.
All memory from the PlayStation 4 was focused on that table. When you go in, it's all like super high resolution table.
Brilliant. That's great.
Yeah, that's about it, I think, for this episode, guys. Unless anyone else has got anything they want to discuss.
I think we're good.
Briefly, but thank you very much for listening, and we'll probably be back maybe next week or just intermittently. Till then, enjoy yourself, get some gaming in. See you later.
See ya. Bye.